Hey guys, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at this knife, SR601 by SR Knives. I got it through GearBest at a very budget price. This is a low-cost knife, to be sure. SR Knives, they are definitely at the bottom of the barrel that I fish in. GearBest has knives that are even lower quality and lower priced than these. But this is the lowest that I will consciously choose to go. We've got white nylon bearings in here, and you have to do wrist action to make it open. I can get it to come deploy, but I can't get it to get to the locking state without some English on it. So I've got to do that to get it to come open. That being said, if that's all there is to it, that's a negative, that'd be great. Unfortunately, there is a slight bit more, but if you are on a very tight budget and you don't mind a couple little compromises, you might want this knife, especially if you like big things, big knives, chunky knives. And so we're going to talk about this knife. We're going to review it. I will give you the pros and the cons on it. I'll let you know what is worth skipping over, what you shouldn't compromise on, and what might be okay. Hopefully, we're going to be able to get you to a position where you can make a good decision on if you want to get one of these or not. So stick around for the full review of this SR Knives SR601 coming at you right now. Okay, this knife obviously comes with this sheath. It's a Cordura type material, belt loop right there. You can fit your finger through there. Well, you can fit 2 fingers in there easily. 2.5 inch belt works with this, or smaller, of course. You've got the hook and loop there, and you know, the knife goes in here, tucks in there, closes over. You can carry it like this if you choose to. It's reasonably well stitched. It's you know, a decent pouch, but you don't have to carry it that way. You've got a pocket clip, not a thumb stud. Keep mixing those two together. You've got a pocket clip option, right or left, and a tip-up design. And you've got a little over 1 centimeter, a little under 1/2 inch sticking out of the pocket if you use the pocket clip option. And let's choose a pair of pants here to show you how that looks. So there you go, not bad at all. And of course, on the left side, the lanyard hole would be on the other side. So that's okay. It holds on very well. There is one negative about the pocket clip, and that is, check it out, it ends pointing up. Most pocket clips end up going a little bit flat again. It's not that hard to put this into a bit of a vise, and I could bend the tip of that, you know, just flatten it a tiny little bit, and that would get rid of a potential hot spot. Right now in my hand, I have it going like this, and my index finger comes beside, and my middle finger comes right in there. And it actually works very well in my left hand. And in my right hand, I get a tiny little bit of a hot spot from it right there. And that is when it's on the right side. The thing is, if I put this on the left side and use it totally left-handed, well, then it's going to be the same kind of effect where this is going to be poking me in the meat of my hand. So right now, a right-handed pocket clip in my left hand is comfortable. But the left-handed pocket clip in my left hand would not be comfortable. So, you know, 601 half dozen of the other. It's a very minor fix that's not too terribly hard for, you know, an average guy to be able to adjust. So there's that. Lanyard hole is in the perfect spot, nice and big, certainly large enough for any 550 paracord or even something greater than that. You've got these milled lines in here that help give you a lot of extra purchase, good grip on this knife. If you're holding this thing and doing a bit of work for a while, it's not going to come loose in your hand easily. You're not going to accidentally, you know, find that it's on the floor and your hand is empty. You know, you've got a good hold on this thing. This is more decorative jimping than anything else back here on the spine of the blade. But it does give you a little bit extra purchase. It's just so large and shallow that it's not terribly grippy. You've got this huge choil here. Your 2 fingers fit in here and 2 fingers back here. for a good grip on this knife. You've got a sharpener's choil, which is really good. Cutting edge is all belly. We've got this nice sheep's foot here, bit of a swedge at the top there. So the steel looks like it's full thickness and then thin, and it gets back thick again. The tip is quite, let's get a focus on here. See, the tip there is quite thick. Good strong tip on this knife. It's not designed for stabbing motions. This is basically a slicing, cutting kind of knife. You could use this as a sort of camp kitchen cooking prep kind of knife. This super high flat grind, I'm calling it a saber grind. Technically it's a saber grind because you've got an area here where the bevel doesn't come to the spine, but really it's a full flat grind in effect. You've got liner lock right here, and the liner lockup is very good for a new knife. It releases easily enough. You can see that the alignment is not that great. I adjusted it and it moved back after just a little while, so the alignment's not staying true. We do have, you can see right in there, if I can get the light to come in there quite well. The light's more on the edges here. You can see that white nylon right there. We've got white nylon washers. I think I could possibly put in other washers, maybe washers that were wider, and that will stabilize it so that you don't have any side-to-side play, because right now you got a little bit of side-to-side play, and that's mostly because the washers are so small in outside diameter. If you had something wider, a bigger washer, you know, it'd have more stability. But there's no blade play up and down. Nice lock pin, stop pin is a good size there. Nice solid lock. And you've got 3 more pins back here for the open pillar construction, and they're just, you know, tubes. They're just nothing fancy. There's no skeletonizing on here. I wish there was, because that would give this knife a little bit weight loss, because it needs some weight loss. This thick blade, you know, thick here at the flipper, thick at the spine, you know, it does have a little more weight than it needs to have. Oh, I didn't quite give enough English on it. There you go. It's a big knife. If you're looking for a big budget knife, and I mean low budget knife, this might be something for you to consider. Oh, I think it really would be. With the 2 different ways of carrying it and stuff, good options. The steel on here is 4 CR13 MOV, so it's lower quality than 8 CR13 MOV. So if that's your bottom and you're not going to go to a lesser steel than that, well, then this isn't a knife for you. But if you don't mind going a little bit lower quality, this steel needs to be sharpened a little more often. The edge isn't going to last quite as long. The Rockwell hardness on it is about 57. So you'll be sharpening this thing every once in a while. But, you know, on the other token, if you're looking for a knife that you want to practice sharpening with, you've got a lot of steel here to do a lot of sharpening to get really good with your sharpening skills. But the fact that the sharp edge won't stay sharp an awful long time, don't let that influence you into thinking that you're bad at sharpening. It's just the quality of the steel. We've got G10 here, and that's good, nice black G10. You can get this in a 2-tone sort of tan and OD green kind of color. If you find that more attractive, you can get it that way. Let's see, what else do we have to talk about? Let's do all the sizes right now. Cutting edge and the blade length are the same, because, I don't know, it just equals the same distance for the cutting edge or the blade length. 9.9 centimeters, 3.9 inches. So you've got almost a 4-inch knife here. It's big. The blade thickness is 3.65 millimeters. That's 0.1435 inches. The blade depth this way, cutting edge to spine, 3.6 centimeters, 1.4 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind is 0.58 millimeters. That's 0.0236 inches. And so it's fairly thin behind the grind right now. For a 4-inch knife, 0.58 is not bad. The handle length is 13.2 centimeters, 5.2 inches. The grip area is 10.5 centimeters, 4.1 inches. The handle thickness, not counting the pocket clip, is 1.53 centimeters, 0.6 of an inch. The handle depth, so index finger to index finger here, 3.2 centimeters, 1.26 inches. Total length of this knife. The weight of this knife is 185 grams, 6.55 inches. How much does this knife cost? It costs $13.89 US at GearBest. So you're talking about a $14 knife. In Canadian dollars, it's $18.26. In euros, it's 11.57, and in pounds, it's 10 pounds and 9 pence. So that's not an expensive knife at all for something this size. Fit and finish, average to just slightly below average, maybe. I think they intentionally have varied thicknesses on the grind lines here because they are quite varied. And if they tried to make them the same, they did a terrible job, but I'm going to assume that they're varied intentionally. The screws, they're not super hard screws, so you're going to have to make sure you get the exactly right size screwdriver here. They're all Torx before you take it apart. I didn't try to remove the thumb studs. They don't really get in the way. You can slice through here without catching on the thumb studs too easily. I hate it when thumb studs are too far out on the blade because then what you're cutting catches on there. Sharpening choil is in a good spot. Decent slicing knife. Decent lockup. Locks up very well. Good lockup point. It's a nice solid lockup. Detent is okay. You see it suck that in. And it holds it in fairly well. It's a little bit lighter than I'd like it to be. If the detent was stronger, you'd be able to flip that open without using the body language. And it's that weak detent which makes it let go before you've built up enough pressure to make the blade swing all the way over. Because of the weight of this blade, you do have to get a fair bit of energy into it to make it open all the way. And that's why, the little weaker detent, the weight of the blade is why you have to do the wrist flip to make it open. What are the negatives on here? Well, you've got a free spinning pivot screw right here, so you have to get screws on both sides. So you have to put it in a vise in order to safely undo the pivot. I don't like that very much. You have to use the wrist action to deploy this. The edges here are just very slightly chamfered, and I wish the edges here on the belly part of the handle were a little bit more chamfered. I can easily take sandpaper and smooth that out, and that'll make it more comfortable in hand. But from the factory, this edge here is not as comfortable as the spine. And that's just because here they rounded it over a bit, but here they didn't. Pocket clip is hot. Don't like that, but that's not that hard to fix either. So there you go. This knife, the negatives that are on it are not major. They're annoying. Some of the negatives can be adjusted by yourself. Some of the negatives you're just always going to come back to. This blade centering, because I had it nicely centered and all I did was open it 6 or 7 times and it was back to on the side a bit again. This is not a knife that you're going to want to get if you're looking for a good user. This is a good knife to get if you're looking for something to play with, to learn on, to test, to maybe try to do some modifications and learn how good you are at that. Say if you want to change some of the G10, practice on something like this instead of practicing on an expensive knife. If you want to change a blade shape or something, if you want to learn how to do reprofiling, maybe try to do a convex grind and then you want to switch it back, all those kinds of things. This is the kind of knife that you're going to get, or I would recommend that you would get to practice those kinds of things on. Why practice on an expensive or even a regular knife, budget knife, when you could just get a really low budget one and learn those skills and perfect those skills on something like this instead. That's all the information I'm going to share with you. Thanks for liking my video. Even if you don't like the knife, that's what the like button's for. It's not about the knife, it's about the guy doing the video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hate the knife, still give it a thumbs up because you like me. And thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. And to everybody else, thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. I've got a Facebook page and I've got an Instagram page. The Facebook I use occasionally. Instagram, not quite enough. I'm trying to get back into using it a bit more. And I'm sorry, guys, I don't answer the comment section as thoroughly or as much as I used to. I just don't find the time, and this month of May is going to be nuts. So thanks again. Remember, always cut towards your chums and not your thumbs.